Welcome back to Theoretical Nonsense. Today we're going to be discussing Season 5, Episode 15, The Friendship Contraction. And we're talking pooping in space, deep cycle marine battery power sources, the history of s'mores, and turning pee into drinking water. Stay tuned. Welcome to Theoretical Nonsense, the Big Bang Theory watch-along podcast. No PhD required.
We're the podcast that recaps all the episodes of The Big Bang Theory. No spoilers.
So hop into your favorite spot,
Make yourself a grasshopper,
and enjoy the ride. Ahoy, Ryan.
Ahoy, Rob. How goes it?
It goes well. I didn't fall asleep again, like last time. Stayed awake.
Yay.
And we're going to talk Friendship Contraction. Got the right episode, too.
That's always a plus.
Yep.
We've been talking about parent brain and how our brains get a little foggy from time to time. So, I think it's a little bit challenging right now for us.
I was telling Ryan earlier that I actually studied up on the wrong episode. I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
But we're good. We have a great episode ahead of you. The Friendship Contraction. Thanks everyone for joining us. And please stay around.
Please.
What did you think of the episode?
I liked it. Not my favorite episode, but a solid entry. And I like that there's two things going on. One, the B story with Howard and his nickname is, I kind of forgot that he was going to space. In fact, I don't think it was completely 100% verified that he was, because he was in an argument with Bernadette, and it left off thinking he was going to, but it's brought it back up saying it's going to happen, and it's foreshadowing that bigger episode. So I'm really looking forward to that, and hypes that up a little bit. And it was a funny little thing about nicknames. On the other hand, we have, Sheldon and Leonard, and this is maybe not the most deepest episode or most progressive episode with the most progression, but we do see Sheldon develop a little bit, and I appreciate that. And that's little steps like that are going to take getting to wherever he's going for this show and developing him as a character. And I really like that he's starting to see that he's not the only person in the world, and accepting that. So again, not my favorite episode, but solid. And it wasn't filler episode. It was small, simple, and sweet.
I'd argue the opposite of that. I didn't really like this episode. It's like you were saying, the B story was way better than the A story, and I will argue that nothing really happened in the A story, because it seemed like he got Leonard's Day out of it. It's like you think that they're going to do something more with the roommate agreement.
Yeah.
But nothing happened. Like, he basically just reverted back to the same agreement.
It wasn't a whole lot.
He gets a Leonard's Day card, which, sorry, spoiler alert, you're never going to see.
Oh, man. See, I was thinking that would actually make a really great follow-up episode. Like, in a year, say, we are having Leonard's Day. And where does that come from? Like, that would have been, like, solid storyline created by this episode. But if it never comes around, then this is pointless.
Yeah, that's actually why I'm upset, and I'm sorry I just bursted your bubble.
Oh, now I'm sad. Fuck this episode.
Yeah, right? It's like nothing happened. I wanted to see at least some amendment to the agreement that would actually carry forward, but he basically just they insinuated that he reinstated the friendship, or not, the roommate agreements back to its original status. That's it.
Yeah.
This is a pointless
I was really taking it as like, I'm going to start appreciating you, and we're going to have that one day, and it's become a bigger deal. But you're right. If the day never comes out, and it, I thought it was kind of just a joke at the end, like, oh, all you have to do is get a card. Like, I thought it was a solid attempt. I was hoping it was a solid attempt for him to realize he needs to appreciate Leonard. But from what I'm hearing, it's it goes back, and I freaking hate that in shows where it seems like they're developing and then they just revert to who they were originally. It's like, what was the point of last season or whatever it might have been? That's sad.
That's why the B story was actually more impactful.
And I'm very on a slight hand. We did get him and Penny, and we do know that they're moving kind of slowly. Yet she wants to make out. So, a little progression on that. At least we know that's still going on. That's not a great episode in itself, but at least a little something there, not just like throwaway. But yeah, the B story, I guess, is more solid at this point.
Yep. But we will deep dive all of this.
Yeah.
But before we dive into everything, a little bit of housekeeping. Everybody, we love emails. If you want to communicate with us, email us at theoreticalnonsensepod@gmail.com. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. It's easy. Just scroll down and click 5 stars. If you want to get a little shout out, write something in there. Just say something nice and we'll give you a shout out. You'd also find us on YouTube at Theoretical Nonsense. Like and subscribe. Diving in, it is Season 5, Episode 15, The Friendship Contraction. Aired February 2nd, 2012. Written by Bill Brady, Stephen Molaro, and Steve Holland. Directed by Mark Sandrowski. Opening scene, Leonard is... Not Leonard. I already fucked this up. Dad brain.
Dad brain.
He's going to be 17 years old one day, and I'm still going to say dad brain. Opening scene. Sheldon is sneaking into Leonard's room wearing a hard hat and orange vest, and he rings the alarm. It's the emergency preparedness drill, which apparently happens once a quarter. He says, "Rise and shine, sleepyhead. Half the town is probably dead." I'm glad he's so chipper about this. I'm glad he takes his role as safety guy very serious.
Optimistically.
Serious, but he's trying to make it fun, too.
Yeah.
Leonard still doesn't have a lock on his door. That's like the biggest shock out of all this. It's like, dude, how are you not locking the door every night?
Right. Even just like a little twist thing. Although, Sheldon probably could pick it, but a little something, right?
Yeah. And we've established that he's been living with Sheldon since 2003, around that time, and it's currently 2012. So that means if it's once a quarter, he's had probably around the range of 36 drills so far. It took him 36 times to freak out this bad and finally want an amendment. I'd do it after like the second time. It's like, right? Dude, you're serious about that?
The second, at least a year, like after a year, like, okay, I'm done with this. But
because it's every 3 months. It's like, what?
Yeah. that man, yeah, that's a lot of drills to go through. Huh.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like Leonard is perpetuating, allowing it to perpetuate.
He's enabling him.
Enabling, that's exactly right.
Yep. Well, Sheldon has a bunch of cards for Leonard to pick from. And it goes from wildfires to Canada to invading California. It's like, it's possible because those hippies in Washington or Oregon aren't going to do anything. You hear that? You're a hippie.
I didn't do a research point on it or anything, IQ point on it, but I would think that Washington, like, our naval bases in the Seattle area and Everett area, like, I feel like that's like the best hope that California has to stop anything. I don't know. But I do like that Sheldon has like such deep role play on these. And as much as it would suck to wake up in the middle of the night, I could probably have a little bit of fun on this. Like, what do we do if it's what's that movie, Red Dawn, like a foreign invasion and we have to survive?
I still remember having this, like, because I was kind of into this more like I wasn't into this, but like I definitely wanted to have the conversation about about certain emergencies, which I actually recommend you have all the time because you never know what's going to happen. And I remember when Christina moved in with me for the first time back at our old house and everything, I wanted to have that talk about like, hey, we should just talk about this just to kind of like, if say there's a fire in the house and we're separated, so we don't freak out, where should we meet? And she was so against having the conversation because like, that's never going to happen. She's just that type. She's just like, that's not going to happen. It's like, well, you don't know that. You don't know what's going to happen. I mean, you don't know if someone's going to try to break into the house. If someone breaks into the house, what are we going to do? Go. Tell me. What
do
are
we
you
do?
going to do?
What do we do?
And she would not engage the conversation. She was actually getting noticeably frustrated with me for even wanting to have the conversation. But like, I've definitely worn her down. So we've actually had conversations since then about it. So we definitely have plans. So we definitely know what we're going to do. So
my thought process is, whatever you plan for probably won't happen. But if you have plans for some emergencies, those can probably apply to other things that will come up. Like, what happens if your car breaks down and you don't have a cell phone? What do you do? Being prepared for that, like maybe that exact thing won't happen, but you might be stuck at an airport and your telephone dies and you need something like it helps you for other emergencies. So,
have I ever told you my snowboarding story with Christina?
I don't think so.
So this is a prime example. Oh my God. I tried having the conversation with her again when we went snowboarding. We went to, it wasn't Stevens. Snoqualmie? It might have been Snoqualmie. No, it was Stevens because it was a really far drive, I remember. And it was a very awkward car ride back. But this is why. I told her, I was like, hey, just because like we're different levels and everything like that, we go at different speeds and everything like that, we should have a meeting point in case we get separated.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, the plan is just don't get separated. I was like, that's not a feasible plan. That doesn't seem like right. And of course it happens. Like, so that's the conversation that we had on the way to the mountain. Super against it. It's like, oh, we have cell phones. What does it matter? Blah, 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 and everything like that. It's like, okay, whatever. You obviously don't want to have this conversation. You're not really into this, whatever. So we're going down. It was like maybe our fourth run or something like that. My binding breaks in the middle of the mountain. So I eat shit. I fall, I eat shit, and I'm like, my binding broke. So I have to like take off the other one and walk down, and I'm like trying to call out to her, like, hey, stop. But she just keeps going. And I have to walk down half the mountain. Because I pulled out my cell phone. I tried to call her, no reception. We're on the middle of a mountain. So then I get down to the bottom. I'm looking around. I just sit down and I kind of just wait for her. Like a half hour goes by. Don't see her. So I actually did. So then at that point, it's like, well, I should go up and look for her or something like that. I don't know. So I go to the shop and I fix my binding. So then I go back up the mountain and I go back down and I kind of wait for her. Another half hour, 45 minutes goes by. Cannot find her. Cell phone, no reception, nothing. And I was like, where is she? Where should I honestly don't know where to go. So it got to a point where I ended up just walking back to the car. And she's there and she's like so pissed. Like, what? Why did you ditch me? Blah, blah. I was like, I didn't ditch you. It's like, well, why didn't you wait down at the bottom of the mountain? It's like, I did. But it's a big bottom. It's like we could have been standing right next to each other. We had no idea.
Yeah.
So ever since then, she's been so much more receptive to like making these plans. That weekend, we actually went out and bought some waterproof walkie-talkies too. Because it's like, all right, let's get the walkie-talkies.
Had those for a while, and I think cell phones are covered in most places in Wi-Fi. But Stevens Pass is so far out there that you have very little reception, especially up on the top of the mountain. So the walkie-talkies are helpful, right?
Yep. Definitely. Yeah, and it came in handy. So for the rest of the season, we had them every time. Whenever we would just play around with them at that point. We're like, all right, come in.
Come in. Hello. We're now.
So it got better after that, but that ride home from Stevens was very awkward. It was very tense and heated.
I remember one time my mom gets into predicaments because she doesn't follow logic. And when I was living in Japan, my parents came over to meet up with my then wife, my ex-wife now. and we traveled the country a little bit, and we were in Hiroshima, and our plans kind of got off on a hiccup because Nally and I got stuck at the was the not the nuclear war museum, basically a museum full of nuclear war stuff, and we were supposed to go to a floating shrine, and we ran into some issues getting to the floating shrine. We got there and it was late. I think dinner took longer than we were expecting to, and we would have been fine had we gotten there, like, even with the issues that we were having that delayed us getting there. If we would have just gotten on a boat and like gone and come back and taken pictures and not really walked around, we would have been fine. But Natalie left her camera in the taxi. And so we went and filed a report with the local police and told my mom, you know what, we're going to go file a report and maybe get out like some information. Maybe we can get it before we leave tomorrow morning. And we told my mom, get on the ferry. You really wanted to see the shrine. It's going to take you there. Don't get off. You'll see it from the ferry. I guess that's the way I understood it. I didn't get to go. Just don't get off. It's the last ferry. If you get off, you're going to miss it, and we can't help you. And what's my mom do? She got off the fucking ferry, and it left. There were no more ferries for the night, so she was on this island by herself in Japan, Hiroshima. Even Natalie, who spoke the most Japanese, wasn't fluent. And the ferry comes back, everybody gets off, and my mom's not there. We wait, and then the terminal's lights go off. And my mom's still nowhere to be seen. I ended up going up to the ticket guy and like knocked on the window, and we tried to say that, communicate that my mom was still over there. And he's like, I don't know what to fucking do for you. And he finally just said sorry and like left. I can't remember what happened with him, but he had no interest in staying and helping us. He seemed very confused himself. And then there was this guy who was like a taxi driver who saw us thinking we needed a ride. And he got out and like tried to help us and said that he had a brother-in-law who had a water taxi and he was going to hook us up with that, but he couldn't get his brother-in-law to wake up because he was asleep or something. And finally, like, we're sitting there and like, what do we do in an emergency where my mom is stranded on an island in Japan? We have no way to know where she is or what she's doing. I don't think she had a credit card even or anything. And this is like, I guess the island had more stuff. I thought it was like kind of like Liberty Island or whatever, with the Statue of Liberty, like just a monument, but I guess there was more there. And after like an hour, the police came walking down from the police station and said like, your mom wants to talk to you. Apparently there was like a hotel owner on the island who came and called the police saying there's a woman here who seems very confused.
Oh my God.
They were able to get my dad's credit card number, paid for a room for the night for her to stay on the island. And the cops helped us, walked us through everything. We went back to our hotel and she ended up staying there for the night. Thing is, we were leaving, like flying out of Hiroshima at like 10 a.m. And so she had to wake up, get on the first ferry at like 7 a.m., find herself a taxi and get over to our hotel. And then we went to the airport. I don't know how she did that, but again, nobody plans for emergencies like that. You don't even know how to begin planning. So planning on like the very bare minimum emergencies, you might have some way to piece together whatever shit the universe is going to throw your way. So, broken binding, getting off the ferry when you're told not to, chaos.
Always be prepared. Like, seriously, there's short conversations too. It's literally a 5-minute conversation and then we can move on with our day. What's the big deal? I mean, we're not going line by line. I mean, Sheldon's is definitely a little kookier. It's definitely very specific. So the card that he picks up is California gets hit by an 8.2 magnitude earthquake. So it's like, okay, but that is actually feasible in California. Feasible. So
could happen.
But the other ones, Canada invading California, wildfire. I mean, wildfires is definitely a thing in California. So all these things are okay, with the exception of Canada invading California. They're pretty realistic scenarios.
I was hoping he was going to have like alien invasion, but he didn't. He didn't get there.
Yeah,
or Skynet or something.
Yeah, because we actually had to have a couple conversations about. I guess Pennsylvania. It's rare, but it has seen tornadoes. So we've had to have a tornado conversation. Even my work has signs for like tornado, like if in the event of a tornado, like these are the rooms you go into.
I know the Seattle area, like technically we're due for an earthquake that will likely wipe out everything west of I-5. Like it's like a few thousand years overdue or something. And when it happens, it's going to happen. And I'm like, well, we're really close to I-5, but we're on one side. It's like, what do we do if like that happens and I'm at work? Like, I don't know. So we talked about it a little bit.
Yep.
Oh boy.
Well, Sheldon has Leonard put on his hard hat and vest, and Leonard makes a village people joke. Apparently he does it every time, and Sheldon just never gets it. And I like as he's going out the door, he hypothetical aftershock and just shoves him over.
I did like that. He falls down.
And I'm just realizing now, I think this might be the very first opening that didn't have an IQ point. We usually always have an IQ point.
Huh.
Unless you have something.
I don't. I have 2 IQ points, but they're really like closer to the end, so interesting.
Yeah, mine are kind of just scattered all over the place, but we'll get there.
Get there.
All right, so we get the credits, and now they're in the cafeteria, and Howard is showing the guys the NASA press release. And it says Expedition 31 will launch this spring to the International Space Station. Crew members will include Commander Tom Tombo Johnson, astronaut Mike Supernova Novacek, and payload specialist Howard Wolowitz. And I did try to look up, this is kind of more like a failed IQ point. It's failed, but I'm not calling it an IQ point. But I did try to look up these people, and it does appear that they are made-up names for the storyline.
Interesting, because they have somebody later who's a real person, but right now they're made up.
Yes. Tom Tombo Johnson possibly could be Thomas Jasper Johnson, or Tom Johnson, who was actually an astronomer. He actually founded a company called Celestron, a company that manufactures telescopes. And he was a real astronaut. But he actually passed away March 13th, 2012, which was just a month after this episode aired. So I don't think it's him.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a call out to like, so I tried to find a full list of all the astronauts with their nicknames, but I couldn't find anything like that either. And it is kind of funny how like people's nicknames are really just based off their name, like Tom Tombo, Supernova Novacek, and then we'll meet Mike Mass for Massimino is just Mass. So yeah, that's all I found. It didn't seem like anybody had really that. I know it didn't seem like I couldn't find, like I said, I couldn't find a full list of people with their nicknames. But it would be kind of cool if they had more fun, unique nicknames like Fruit Loops.
Yeah.
Or like in the they do nicknames in the military and the Air Force too. Like
Iceman.
Maverick.
Maverick.
In the Marvel comics, Carol Danvers, her call sign was Cheeseburger. But in the MCU, it's Avenger. They changed it up to kind of make that connection. I do know. I for some reason this story it's not even about me or anything like that. But my friend who was like in the military long ago, he was telling me that his nickname was Salad.
Why?
Because all the guy they were out to dinner one day and everyone ordered like meat, something like steak, chicken, and the guy just ordered a salad. So the guys just made fun of him, and then his nickname became Salad. So like, yeah, where's the fun nicknames like that? Like Fruit Loops. Come on.
Fruit Loops. Huh. I'm like, I know Casey, Taylor's wife, I call her Kansas City, and I got quite a few people to call her Kansas City because her name's Casey. I was like, oh, like the initial is KC, like Kansas City. What? Yeah,
and she actually
Kansas
spells it with a K.
Yeah, Kansas City Chiefs, and he goes, "How do you know who the Chiefs are? You hate football." I'm like, "That's the one I know. I don't know." And I'm like, I'm sticking with that.
I was just guessing.
I was just guessing. That's of all the teams, that's the one in Kansas City. Holy shit!
Wait, so you don't call her Chief?
No, that would have made more sense. But yeah, no, it's just Kansas City for KC. And then his dog is named Ripley. And I don't know exactly how. Oh, she causes a lot of destruction, so I started calling her Riptide, and that kind of stuck.
Or start calling her Alien or Sigourney Weaver, because that's her name is Ripley.
Have you ever had a nickname?
I've
never really had a real one.
Robert turns into Rob, which could be Robbie, Bob, Bobby. I mean, people like one dude always called me Bobby. It's funny, like this guy at work always just calls me Robbie. It's like I don't know why, but he does. But it's like it's my name, so I guess I don't really care.
I remember when I was buying my house. I might have told you the story, but the only person who calls me Rye is my dad. Like throughout my life, nobody else has ever called me that. And I think my real estate agent heard him call me that or something and decided to call me that too. And like when she did, we both just looked at her like, who the fuck are you? We were nice about it, but it like clicked with like, what the hell is that? You're not allowed to call me that. That's kind of how I
feel about people who address you as your last name. There's something about when people address me from my last name. I know it's like, it's just something that some people do, but I don't like that. That's one thing that I really don't like.
It was really popular when I was in high school, and I don't know why that it was, but in high school it seemed like we called everybody by their last names. It was just like we didn't even have first names amongst each other. I don't know what the fad was with that.
Yeah, don't like it. Not for me.
Don't like it.
Yeah. Oh, my mom calls me Bobbert.
Bobbert?
Yeah.
Oh, I like that one. Bobbert.
Yeah, it's for mom only. So
if your real estate agent calls you Bobbert...
Yeah. Well, a couple of people actually did joke around, like, because they came up with it by themselves and everything, like, oh, can I call you Bobbert? It's like, no.
No.
Hard no. Don't. But now that I've said that, I'm going to get a lot of comments and emails about that, I'm sure.
Our emails are all going to be addressed to Bobbert. Yeah. Oh, no.
That's a sure way to get your email not read, guys. All right. Well, Raj says that Howard needs to pick a cool nickname, but we learn it's not up to him, it's up to the other astronauts. So Raj says, oh boy, if I had a nickname, it'd be Brown Dynamite. It's like, look at me. I am Brown Dynamite. And Raj, yeah, you are.
Yeah. Yeah, you are.
And then he notices Leonard putting 6 sugars in his coffee. And they already know about the safety drill. They're like, oh, it's safety drill, huh? It's just kind of funny that it has happened enough times where they know about it. And then Sheldon comes in ablazing with Leonard's score, which is terrible. Readiness, unsatisfactory. Follows directions, barely. Attitude, a little too much. Overall, not only will he probably die in a fiery inferno, his incessant whining would most certainly spoil everyone else's day.
I like that part because, again, it's that optimism, like he's taking it seriously, but he's trying to be positive about the world coming to an end.
Yep. And we don't need your negative attitude, Leonard. Or Duncan.
Duncan.
Come on, Duncan.
Sock mouth.
Leonard is just so tired that he's just like he's gonna go home. But Sheldon stops him and is like, hey, well, you're supposed to take me to the dentist. And he needs someone that it's not about getting there, it's getting him home. He has to go under anesthesia because he's a biter.
Biter.
And the last time he tried to go home without anybody, he ended up on a booze cruise to Mexico. And then Leonard says, well, he's going to go anyways, but then he calls out under section 37B of the roommate agreement, he has to. So Leonard is going to invoke clause 209, that he's going to break the roommate agreement, which is shocking that this is the first time that he's ever hearing about this.
Yeah.
It
After how many drills?
Yeah. It strips the roommate agreement to the bare essentials, rent, utilities, and a general sup as they pass in the hall. And I'm surprised this didn't get brought up with Priya, that Priya didn't flag this as his lawyer. Like, as she just kind of read through, it's like, hey, you know you could just do this, right?
Just cancel it, the whole thing, negate the whole thing.
Yeah. And then
I wanted to say about the dentist thing, I was really hoping that it would have shown us a glimpse of him getting on the booze cruise to Mexico or something like that, maybe like as an ending scene of him walking out of the dentist and ending up in a crazy... I want to see where he goes with that.
You know, now that you mention it, this Big Bang Theory doesn't really do flashbacks.
Yeah.
Unless they're like specifically telling a story, like the end of the end of season 3, when we find out how Leonard became roommates with Sheldon. That was like the only time that they really had a flashback. Otherwise, Big Bang Theory doesn't really do that.
And like, I guess they didn't need it, but I was really hoping to see him this time at the dentist walk out and, I would have liked to see the flashback, but like, yeah, they don't do flashbacks, but I would have liked to see him just walk out and like in a stupor, like wander into, I don't know, a tattoo parlor or something weird. And like nothing happened. I gotta say, do you get knocked out at the dentist? I've had horrible experiences. Go ahead. Yeah.
I have only once for a cleaning. I don't know why. I don't know if my parents made like some sort of like deal with the dentist, like slip them $5 or something like that and say, you know what? Kid's being a little bit of an asshole. Just knock him out.
He's going to have a good time, dentist. Here you go.
But they did it once for me when I was pretty young. I was like maybe 4th grade or something like that. I was like, but like, yeah, I was there for a cleaning and they just knocked me out. Here, count backwards from 10. And
I remember, 2 things. I was knocked out for my wisdom teeth extraction. When I got my front teeth removed, my bottom ones, they didn't knock me out. And he asked, would you like some gas to ease it? I'm like, fuck yeah, give me some gas. I'm stressing here. And then like he forgot to do it. He's like, oh, I guess we don't need to charge you for that. I'm like, why didn't you get? I wanted it. He just went to town. He's like, here's some shots and crank. I'm like, okay. But like right after that, I went to the bar and started drinking. So it was like, it's funny because I remember going to the brewery. I'm like, yeah, I just had 4 teeth pulled. And they're like, really? I'm like, blah, and like showed them. Everyone's like, fuck, here's a beer.
So, are you allowed to be here?
Do they know you're here? Like booze cruise. But yeah, I wasn't on medicine yet. Like I hadn't really taken anything. So like I was just waiting for the effects to wear off. The other one was, I remember I had a really bad cavity years ago. And the guy's working on it. He's like, okay, we want you to be comfortable. If it starts hurting, let us know. And we'll give you some more, Novocaine, another injection. And like time goes by, they're still working. It's starting to hurt. I kind of put up with it. It's starting to really hurt. I go, I can feel it. And he goes, I know. And just kept going. I go, what the fuck? So they don't want to give me gas for some reason. They dentists hate me. I don't know why. Whatever I did to dentist, but fuck that. So I was curious that, yeah, for you, every now and then they just knock you out for a cleaning too.
Well, that was the only time, but then I've been knocked out for wisdom teeth.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think if there were some other procedures and everything like that where I've gone under. Yeah.
I can feel it. I know. Oh God.
Take it, bitch.
Take it. Moan.
Well, now we're at the next scene, and we're at the apartment, and everyone is at dinner, including the girls, and Howard is letting them know that he is going to learn to poop in space. And I like how he must be talking about it a lot, because Bernadette is so unamused by it.
It's just yeah. I was going to say, too, with that, we've done an IQ point on bathrooms in space before, that learning to poop is basically learning how to hook your privates up to a vacuum and letting it suck it.
Oh my God, we've done this IQ point before, because I just did an IQ point.
Oh, you did? Okay, I swear.
Oh wait. Oh my God, have we?
Maybe not straight up with poop, but I remember talking about vacuum systems, and I started doing this. I'm like, I think we've done this before, so I just...
Now I have to look it up.
Dad brain. Maybe I just made it up, too. That happens sometimes.
All right, well, if we've done this IQ point before, and if somebody out there remembers, if somebody out there just binged everything, please let us know, because as I'm going through my notes and everything, it might just take too long to find it. I don't want to bore everyone, but honestly, the recap might be nice.
I'm always interested in bathroom and space, so...
Yeah. Well, I found this information on space.com, which with my luck was probably the first place that we found the last time too. And honestly, it does seem, based off the description, it does seem like this actually does require a lot of training and a lot of practice. But I know we haven't talked about this, because I feel like this is brand new in information, at least to me, was why we have to train so hard and why this is such a process. So I actually looked at a little bit of the history of vacating yourself in space. So to set the stage of why this is so important, we need to go back to 1961. Alan Shepard, the first American in space, was supposed to have a very short trip to space. So a bathroom wasn't even considered. However, his flight got delayed for 3 hours. When he asked if he could just exit the rocket to go to the bathroom, they told him, no, just go in your suit. We've wasted enough time and we're burning money. So sorry.
Sorry.
So sucks to you, Alan Shepard. Sorry. And then the following year, when John Glenn went up to space, NASA didn't want to screw around. They actually included a urine collection system in his suit. After that mission, NASA decided, well, we want to send people out to space for longer periods of time, upwards of 6 months. So they needed to find a solution, which was some sort of space toilet. It needed to contain everything so it doesn't float around in space. Or, poop and stuff like that doesn't float around in space. Not only is it a health risk, but it could damage the equipment. So the first space toilet was created in 1973, which was more of just a hole in the wall that collected waste, and then heat dried the feces up. And it got a major upgrade in the year 2000, when a system was implemented where both men and women would pee standing up. They would, which we mentioned, they would have to hold a suction funnel to themselves tightly enough to prevent leaks, and then they would just go in that. For twosies, they would have footholds and handholds to keep them in place. And then as soon as the toilet lid was lifted up, it would just start suctioning out. So it would just kind of start pulling as you sit down. It would suck up all the stuff, and it would reduce the odor.
Like a vacuum hooked up to your nether regions.
Exactly. And then it got another huge upgrade in the year 2018, one that reportedly cost $23 million to develop. The design of the toilet was adjusted to be smaller and more elongated. This way, astronauts can pee and poo at the same time, which was actually very convenient for female astronauts. So it seems like Howard is going to be using the suction one, and he's going to have to pee into a different vacuum. And then I looked into where it all goes, because I'm sure we're all curious. Solid waste passed into toilets in space is sucked into garbage bags that are then placed in airtight containers. Toilet paper, wipes, and gloves are also placed in these containers. These are then dropped back into the atmosphere of space, where they're burned up permanently, disposing of astronauts' solid waste. And sometimes they'll actually freeze the feces, and then they'll actually test it on Earth just to kind of see what's going on in there. See if there's any changes, because science, I guess.
Dr. Toilet.
Liquid is a precious thing in a space station, so NASA has found a way to recycle urine and sweat through their water recovery system, and then pass through a water processor assembly, which turns it into drinking water. 90% of all liquids gets recycled. And currently, NASA is working on extracting water content from solids to recycle. Yeesh. But yeah, we'll kind of talk about a little bit more about this as we get later on in the episode with Sheldon peeing.
Yeah. I was thinking, for some reason, it might be a different IQ point at some point, but I recall thinking about how it can be dangerous as well, because if liquid floats around too much in space shuttle or space station, it can hit the electronics and cause damage, because moisture and electrical components is bad. So that's why the suction's so important. But I don't think I mentioned this last time, and I don't know why I remember it, but I vaguely recalled, and maybe this is a good reason to have it, a transcript from the Apollo 10 flight. And I don't know what they were doing or how they were going to the bathroom at this point, if it was the suction or what. But in the transcript, what I have here is 013-2944 CDR. Oh, who did it? 013-2946 CMP. Who did what? LMP what? CDR, who did it? Laughter. LMP, where did it come from? CDR, give me a napkin quick. There's a turd floating through the air. CMP, I didn't do it. It ain't one of mine. LMP, I don't think it's one of mine. CDR, mine was a little more sticky than that. Throw that away. CMP, God almighty. So a turd got away at one point.
Oh my gosh.
There's a turd floating through the air.
Oh. Well, anything else to add?
That's all I had. Turds in there. But yeah, I think this is an interesting conversation. One that having conversations about emergencies are important, or else you'll end up in the spaceship having to pee your pants. So, you have the conversations beforehand before you have to do that. So,
yep. All right. Well, Sheldon arrives late because the bus kept having to stop for other people. Ugh, how rude. And Amy was nice and saved him a dumpling. He's touched by that, which is going to serve her well when she takes him to the dentist tomorrow. But Amy can't. She's knee-deep in her study. She's working with alcoholic monkeys, and tomorrow's the day that they switch to O'Doul's. It's like, man, what do you do for work?
Gonna have some cranky monkeys.
Yeah. Since she's out, he tries to tag in his other friends, and it's a no-go from everyone. His list of things that he has to take care of in the near future is dentist. He needs to change out the heels in his dress shoes. He's seeing a dermatologist, an allergist, a podiatrist, Supercuts, and IKEA. And then And then Raj starts to like say like, "Oh, the meatballs are actually good," and Sheldon thinks it's interest, and then he immediately shuts up. Now we jump over to the comic book store, and Sheldon is visiting Stuart, his 9th favorite person. He moved up a spot because his pen pal in Somalia got kidnapped.
I don't get that. But... if he's kidnapped, does that mean like he's probably dead, or like just because he's kidnapped doesn't mean he's not like your friend's list? Like that seems weird to say you're kidnapped, you're off my list. Like, do we just assume he's dead at that point, or?
I think this is where Sheldon, to me, is like, he doesn't really think or care about other people. It's like, oh, well, if he's not going to write me back, how dare he?
Until he can write me back, he's off
the list.
I gotcha.
That's how I took it as.
I was like, oh man, maybe it's been like 2 years and he just realizes, yeah, he's not alive anymore. He's not going to be a friend. But it makes more sense. I like your way. It's more optimistic.
He's still alive, I'm sure. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Well, Sheldon tries to get to know Stuart about his life. And he asks about his mom, he asks about his dad. And then we learn that Stuart's therapist actually ended up killing himself. And he name dropped Stuart in the letter. So this is actually kind of a dark... As I say all this out loud, this is actually a pretty dark scene.
It's really like, it seemed out of nowhere too. It's just like, bleak. I laughed, but I felt a little bad for laughing.
Yeah. Is Stuart's life that bad? Apparently it is. It's been getting worse and worse ever since he had his high moment of making out with Penny. It's never been the same.
You know, we have the spinoff coming. Maybe good things are coming to Stuart.
Yep. Yeah, looking forward to, like, do we have any updates on that?
I haven't seen any.
But, all right. We won't. I do get a point
for being like Sheldon. Because I don't respond great to I don't know, people. Great to news, especially bad news. And so when Stuart's laying this all on Sheldon's kind of like, that's great. I could see me doing that. Maybe not that callously, but still like, oh, you don't say. Like, yeah, my friend just died. Oh, okay. Like, I feel
like talking about me now.
Yeah, horrible responses, and then I change the subject, and like it always comes off wrong. I don't know. I just I wish I could be. In fact, I have to say, Rob, I learn a lot from you. Like, sometimes I watch you, I'm like, I'm just gonna pick up what does Rob say. And I'll mimic that because it's more normal. So.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. You hear that, world? I'm normal.
You're normal.
Take that.
There's a couple of people in my life that I mimic, and you are one of them.
Yes.
Yes. And that's actually my only point this episode. But yeah.
Well, now Sheldon asks Stuart to drive him to the dentist. And that's a hard no. Now we jump back to the apartment, and Raj and Howard are still going over nicknames. Raj suggests Buzz, but there's already a Buzz. And it's funny because he thinks he's talking about Buzz Lightyear. Then he suggests Crash, which is not a great nickname for someone going out in space.
On a spaceship,
and then Rocket Man. Well, Raj then has a great idea. What if we make Rocket Man your ringtone, and the next time you talk to those guys, I'll call you and they'll hear it. It'll plant the seed. Pretty good idea. Yeah, we'll see. But we'll see how it goes. Sheldon enters, and he never made it to the dentist, so he called up a dog grooming place, and because they'll actually come to him. It's a little shocking that a place would even say yes.
I don't believe that's true, but I thought it was funny, and that's one of those things I'm going to go along with. Because...
Yeah. We'll go along with this. Well, then Leonard actually just straight up offers to drive him. It's like, hey, if you really need a ride, I'll give you a ride. I'm not that much of an asshole. But then Sheldon is pushing for him to reinstate the roommate agreement. And then Leonard actually is really quick to be like, you know what? Sure, I will, just as long as you admit that you're a 30-year-old man who is incapable of functioning on his own. And Sheldon rejects this. Then he leaves because he has to call his dentist because he's going to add shampooing and nail clipping. That actually sounds kind of nice, to be honest. Like, okay, you can come to me, clean my teeth, wash my hair, clip my nails. Okay.
I'll pay for that. It kind of reminds me of the episode of Wings where Helen's sister comes to town and she's trying to find a salon. And I don't remember who it was. Was it Lowell's cousin or something had a salon, and she goes there and comes and like looks like a poodle or something, and she's like, I found this place, Fifi's, and he goes, that's my cousin Fifi, she grooms dogs. My cousin Fifi. I don't remember it completely, but I remember like her hair's all poofed up, so I imagine it would be similar with Sheldon with whatever they could do with his hair.
Yep. Well, actually, hold on a second. Okay, so it's a shampoo. He didn't say he's getting. He didn't say that he's actually getting his haircut. Because that will actually be, not to like get too far ahead, but that's actually a plot point for a future episode. Sheldon's haircut.
Oh,
yeah.
Here we go.
All right. Well, next scene, Leonard is watching TV and the power goes out. Penny comes over to see if they lost power too, and it's because last month she sent the electric company a Starbucks gift card, an apology note, and a few snapshots of her in a bra. She must be really hurting for money. Very classy. Sheldon comes in with his emergency equipment, and we get a call back to the glow-in-the-dark arrows, which he had removed. Which it must have been in like the last day or two that he removed them, because didn't they just have a drill? Like, you'd think that they would be going through it in nighttime because, I don't know. I just would have thought that, like, he would have noticed it.
Yeah. Because they had the lights off, and I can't imagine they would have turned on the lights for the drill. Although
he would have pointed them out during his drill, like, don't forget to follow the arrows.
Unless Leonard was just so asleep that he didn't notice, but that seems kind of weird too, because they were so pronounced that you think Leonard would have noticed. So
yeah, every time that they turn off the light. But
the last time we saw them was a few episodes ago, though. So as an audience, we didn't notice.
Yeah, but Sheldon says he had them removed because they were wildly carcinogenic.
That made me laugh. Wildly carcinogenic.
I love using the word wildly just to exaggerate like how I'm feeling about something.
It's wild.
Like, I am wildly disappointed in this or something like that. Well, Penny offers her place because she has candles, and Sheldon says that glow sticks are safer, and Leonard busts out his giant glow stick lightsaber. And I just do want to call out Hunter actually just discovered lightsaber play in the dark, so that's been fun.
Oh, cool. Good play or bad play? Like just whacking people, or actually
no, like turning out the lights, turning on the lightsaber and seeing it glow and everything like that. He's like, whoa.
Nice.
That's great.
I thought you were gonna say like, nope, just we go to bed and he starts hitting us. Like, oh no.
It's probably in my future.
It's knock on wood, cross your fingers. Dad brain is really just
that's why I have dad brain. He's constantly smacking me in the head. Well, he actually does headbutt me a lot. So
Autumn headbutts so much. Where does she? I don't know.
Is it because your beard is tickling her and she's like, ah?
No, we were playing Tickets to Ride last night, and like she was like looking around, and then she like did a back headbutt against Kelsey and like almost went down into the table, and she's like whack whack, and like Kelsey had to catch her and like, no, don't do that, baby.
Yeah, just the crazy impulses of a child.
Woo.
All right. Well, Sheldon says, before you go, consider this. Not only do I have a deep cycle marine battery power source, which is more than capable of running our entertainment system, I also have all 61 episodes of the BBC series Red Dwarf and Fiddle Faddle. All yours if you're willing to reinstate the roommate agreement. And Penny says that she's got wine and some bubble wrap. Boom. That's an instant choice right there. And I just love Sheldon's reaction. It's like, what's he going to do with wine and a girl in the dark? He's going to be bored out of his mind.
I did a IQ point. It's a two-parter. On what a deep cycle marine battery is. I've never heard that term before. I assumed it was just a battery, and I'm kind of right. And what Fiddle Faddle is. Apparently, Fiddle Faddle is just like a type of Cracker Jack or Munch Bunch or whatever.
Have you never had Fiddle Faddle before?
I've never had Fiddle Faddle.
It's been a while. It's still around. It's
popcorn, peanuts, and like a butter toffee glaze. Have you had Cracker Jack?
It's funny, like I always poo-pooed on Cracker Jacks as a child, but now that I know that it's just caramel corn, I'm like all about it. Granted, I haven't had it. Honestly, I don't think I've ever... No, okay, I take that back. Wait, have I? I actually don't now that I think about it, I don't think I've ever eaten Cracker Jacks. I feel like my grandma gave me Cracker Jacks, but I was like, nah, I'm good.
My mom would get them sometimes. It has like the little sailor boy on it, and like you would get like a little, I don't know, sticker or tattoo in each one. Like it was like the worst toy ever, but I mean, you didn't buy it for the toy. You didn't really buy it for the taste. I don't know why you would buy it, but it was food.
It's I feel like it was the older generation. It's just like what we do as parents. We try to relive our childhood through our kids. So we give them the snacks that we had as a child. So then our parents and grandparents were giving it to us because it's nostalgia for them. Yeah. That must be it. Because how many people, like, please email us. Do you eat Cracker Jacks? Have you even heard of Cracker Jacks? Fiddle Faddle? Do you even know what this stuff is? Are we that old?
My mom's big one was Now and Plenty's. Is that what? Now and Later? The
Good and Plenty. I know there's a candy called Good and Plenty.
That's what it is. The black licorice covered in a candy shell. And it is like, like even the colors are like mute white and purple, like they are dull, and I don't know, it is old people candy. In fact, the only reason I liked taking it as a kid is I used to pretend I was doing drugs. I'm like, I'm taking a pill, and I'd swallow it whole, like I didn't even chew it, and I was like, I don't think that's good for you, Ryan.
I've actually never had Good and Plenty. I know it. Yeah, it's been a long time since. Is this even still a thing?
Right? Such a weird candy.
Well, according to the AI overview, it's still being produced by the Hershey Company.
And it's white. Yeah, it's white and purple.
Yeah, they look like medicine.
They look like medicine. Developed in 1893. Damn. That's hardcore candy for people who just need sugar. Like, I don't care what it tastes like. I need medicine and sugar.
Yeah, this is definitely not on any top lists of candy.
For good reason. It's wildly unpopular.
Wildly. Watch our entire fan base loves Good and Plenty.
We all loved it. You guys shout on it. Like, no.
You suck. Robert, you suck.
Have a whole episode just eating it. Like, Crunch, we love it now. We've learned our lesson. Bobbert.
Rye.
Right. Bobbert loved Good and Plenty. Oh my god. Alright, so deep cycle marine batteries as a power source. As far as I understand, it's basically like an auto battery. It's a lead acid battery for what boats call trolling, where you need long, reliable power. So like being anchored, I guess, and you need consistent lighting or whatever, as opposed to a starter battery just that gives you just enough energy to start up. And they can be recharged quickly. They can be drained and recharged often. They're less likely to overheat than a starter battery, according to, where was I looking at for this one? Actually, a lot of this came from battlebornbatteries.com. A lot of boat manufacturers and boat supply companies still sell these types of batteries. And I was kind of, when I was looking at houses with my parents, like cabins, a lot of people are off grid and they actually use train batteries. And I think it's kind of similar. My understanding is that there's basically panels. Is that right? Plates. And the plates are submerged in electrolyte fluid and they create cells. And when it's charged up, the electrolytes, I guess, fill up the fluid, and then the lead panels take them out. Plates. I don't know the science behind it completely. I just know that from what I was seeing, they looked a lot like car batteries, much larger, and they're more stable than what starts the boat. So, yeah, I guess it's what a lot of people use for being off the grid, too. Things that they can charge up and then run, which is probably cheaper over long term than generators, because generators use so much gasoline or propane that it becomes really expensive very, very quickly. If you're running it for days on end, for an hour here or there, it's not a big deal. And honestly, in an apartment, I don't think they could fit a generator in, so that wouldn't work. Now, here's the thing, is we're right on the cusp of lithium ion batteries becoming a thing in 2012. I think they were a thing, so I was kind of surprised he didn't have one. However, now, like, if you look for battery backups in your house, you can get lithium ion ones. You can get ones that like power your whole house for, I don't know, it depends on the size, like an hour or 30 minutes. I have one for my PlayStation 5 because I have a PlayStation Portal, which like you can take on the go. And if you're hooked up to Wi-Fi, you can stream your PlayStation 5 and play it on the go. And I was finding every time I went to play it, at some point between the last time I played it and then, I had a power outage, which was enough to reboot my PlayStation 5 and give me that message, do not turn off your PlayStation 5 without turning it off completely or whatever. And to play the Portal, it has to be in sleep mode. So if there's a power outage, it could corrupt your hard drive for your PlayStation 5. So I have a battery backup that gives it constant energy, even if there's a power outage. And I went with lithium ion just because, there were some pros. But yeah, there are pros. Lithium ions can be 4 to 5 times more expensive, but they last 10 plus years and they charge 5 times faster, apparently. Lead acid, on the other hand, lasts about 1 to 3 years, and they are cheaper. I was finding, lithium ions have a recharge life cycle of about 3 to 5,000 times. So how many times can you go from like depleted to charge before it starts hurting the lifespan of the battery? Supposedly, at least for the ones that are being used, 3 to 5,000 times, where a lead acid battery often has, from battlebornbatteries.com, a 500 cycle lifespan. So it's lead acid batteries are going to deplete and die much more quickly than a lithium ion battery, but a lithium ion batteries are like 4 to 5 times more expensive. So it's a trade-off. I, for my PlayStation 5 went with lithium ion because I trust it more. And the setup was a little bit more convenient for what I was looking for. I'm kind of surprised he didn't have lithium ion in his apartment. I could see why he didn't have a generator because it's an apartment. Where would he put it in the exhaust? But I feel like he would have, 2012 was advanced enough to have lithium ion. But anyways, it's basically a battery backup with lead acid, much like a car battery. So that's what I found out. I guess boats do the same thing. I did look into mathematics and science behind it and realized it was way over my head. So I gave up on that, and that's what I came up with. I figured that with the Fiddle Faddle IQ point.
Nice. I should get some Fiddle Faddle. That's all I took out of that. Sorry. Food.
Me, I'm like, I need some medicine. Those good and plenties have me craving medicine.
Medicinal taste. Sweet and salty. I kind of did I remember, when I first moved over to Pennsylvania, like we survived off popcorn and peanut M&Ms. It's great.
That's what when I moved
gained
to
20 pounds, but
Nebraska,
sacrifices were made.
there was only one fast food joint in the town I moved to. You want to take a stab at what the fast food joint was in this town I moved to, Nebraska?
Okay, it's a fast food joint. I mean, McDonald's.
That's what you would assume. Closest McDonald's to me was like 30 minutes away.
Okay, so it's not McDonald's. Okay,
no.
Fast food, random small town in Nebraska.
This always blew my mind.
Okay, so this is a deep. Is it like Long John Silver?
Oh man, that would have been cool. No, not that far.
Okay.
It was a Subway.
Okay. I feel like I've read some statistic that there's actually more Subways than McDonald's. Is that? I feel like that was a long time ago, though. That was like
I think I've heard that
ago.
too.
I don't know about now,
but it always blew my mind that if we needed to get takeout, it was either a local restaurant or a Subway, and the local restaurants were like sit down diner type stuff. So they didn't really do to go stuff. I mean, you could get it to. I don't know. But fast food wise, Subway. So when I moved there, we had a shit ton of Subway, and I've never been okay with. I've eaten Subway since then. I'm not okay with eating Subway since then.
I don't do Subway. We did it one time, in the last year, just because we had a coupon, and it had been such a long time since we've gotten it, and we got it. It's never again. And the AI overview actually does say that there are more Subways than there are McDonald's globally. Yeah.
I remember when Kelsey was pregnant, she had a craving for Subway one night. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with this kid? Why are you craving Subway?
Subway has upwards of 44,000 locations globally, and McDonald's has around 40,000 locations locally. However, McDonald's generates higher revenue and has higher brand value. Yep, I'd definitely rather go to McDonald's than Subway.
Truth.
Subway, if you're listening, just step up your game. I'd be down. Just step up your game.
And I don't understand why, it's most of them, Jimmy John's, Subway. I don't believe it should be that hard to say, I want to buy a loaf of your bread. I just want a loaf of bread to chew on. I don't get why they have so much difficulty. They're like, no, you have to buy a sandwich. I'm like, I don't want meat on it. And they're like, but we have to give you meat on it. It's a sandwich. I'm like, I just want the bread. Oh, man.
I know. You'd think that it's because Christina says the exact same thing. She just wants to go get the bread. Even with Jersey Mike's, can I just buy the bread? And the answer is always no. And you'd think that just mark it up. Just do a 200% markup, and we'd still buy it.
Something between the price of a full out sandwich and an actual loaf of bread, and we're gonna go for it. You're gonna make money off that.
I know it costs 2 cents for them to make, and then just charge $2. It's we'll still buy it. I remember that happened to me one time. It was so funny. I was working at the golf course. And this guy came in, and it was the weirdest thing. This is a whole other side story, but it was a homeless guy. But he always paid for stuff, so I never kicked him out. You could tell he was homeless and everything. And he came up to me and was like, "Hey, can I just buy a loaf of bread?" I was like, "I don't have a button for that, but I mean, I can't sell it to you at cost or anything like that, so I'll have to it's going to be a markup."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Well, I'd rather just buy it here than walk the 2 miles to the grocery store." So I was like, "Okay." And I just sold it to him. It's I'm not going to be a dick and say no, but I can't just give it to you for $2.99. Speaking of side quest, how's your bread making?
I'd made another loaf, honey bread, honey white, and it turned out. And like you said, I mixed a little bit of the warm water with the yeast before I added it. It was foaming just a little bit before I added it. It was perfect. So that's the way to do it.
Look at me becoming a bread expert. And somehow I turned to... My ego is skyrocketing right now.
This is why I mimic you. I watch you and I do what Rob does.
Yeah. Rob makes hand gestures. I'm going to make hand gestures.
I'm going to make them too.
Rob's making bread. I'm going to make bread. All right, I'm a role model.
It's like big brothers. You're my big brother. I follow you.
All right. Anything else on your IQ points? Or are you all good?
That's all I got for that one.
All right. Well, now we're at Penny's, and they have a little chit chat and everything, and then Penny wants to make out. Nice. And Leonard says, well, we're in the beta test. I thought you wanted to take things slow. And I do love her response. It's like, okay, let's make out slow then. And she must be really bored because Leonard says, I'll be so slow, be like a snail in your mouth.
He's like, ew, ew.
And she's just like, oh, you're lucky that I have nothing else to do. And then Sheldon enters without knocking because pleasantries have been suspended in emergent times. But the emergency that he wants to talk about is that he's going to make some s'mores. And he's trying to lure Leonard to him. And again, reinstate the roommate agreement. I do like this, how he's like dragging it on. He's like, okay, well, I'm going to have a s'more by myself. And then I'm going to have s'more by myself.
S'more. By myself.
And just for funsies, in the spirit of always making this a food cast, I did the history of the s'more. I wanted to do this because there is a scene in Community that runs rent-free in my head, and I don't know why, because it doesn't need to be there. Did you ever watch? I mean, we've talked about this a lot, but there's this... Community is so full of random scenes, but there was this one scene where they're doing a flashback, and Britta and Jeff are just arguing about the pronunciation of the word s'more. Because Britta is, crazy and weird. And she's like, it's pronounced some more because you always want some more. And he's like, and Jeff's like, no, it's just pronounced s'more. But it is s'more. Sorry, Britta.
Aw.
Sorry.
Sorry.
But marshmallows, well, okay. The history is all the components of it. So we're going to talk about each component. Marshmallows have apparently been around since ancient Greece and Rome. And it was actually used for medicinal purposes. Though they weren't in the fully fluffy form that we know today. It's not like this little white cloud. It wasn't that. But it was made from a plant called the Althea officinalis. And it was the French that took this root juice and combined it with eggs and sugar to fluff it up. And then advertised it as a sweet treat rather than medicine. So that's how we got the marshmallow. And then graham crackers were a 19th century sex drive killer. There was a Presbyterian minister in New Jersey. His name was Sylvester Graham, and he believed that humanity was on its way to moral collapse. He also believed the food that we're eating greatly contributed to our undeterred need to have sex. A simple steak dinner with wine could, according to a 1847 text he wrote, increase the concopulent excitability of the genital organs. So he promoted a special process of baking using only finely ground unbleached wheat flour, wheat bran, and coarsely ground germ. Out of this came a bland, dry cracker that he named after himself, the graham cracker. Vain much. A precursor of the s'more would be Victorian-era funeral cake, which was composed of chocolate and marshmallow. And also during the 1890s, a marshmallow roasting fad started in summer resort towns of the American Northeast. And this led to the creation of Mallomars in 1913, which were basically s'mores in cookie form.
I don't think I realized. So graham crackers are kind of like German chocolate cake where it's actually a guy's name as opposed to an ingredient or something.
Yeah.
I tell you, one of the best desserts I've ever had was when I was on my honeymoon. We did a small 3-day trip to Denver, Colorado, just drove there. And rented a nice like semi-suite and nothing too lavish, and ate at the hotel one night as our like honeymoon dinner. And for dessert, they had homemade s'mores, and it was like kitchen made graham crackers, homemade marshmallows, and like I don't know where they got the chocolate from. I don't know if they probably didn't make it themselves, but it was thick, hardcore good chocolate. And they brought out like a candle for me to roast the marshmallows, and wow, it was fantastic. So I know some s'mores are kind of like, oh, why are these so popular? But that one was like, holy shit, this is like top notch dessert level.
Man, a s'more like is pretty awesome. Like when you like I think the key too for me is to like you have to it's obviously a perfectly roasted marshmallow without burning it, like what Sheldon will do eventually.
Yeah.
And I feel like you have to melt the chocolate ever so slightly.
I think so too. If it's too hard, it's detracts from the texture of it, right?
Yeah, it throws it off. But you got to melt that chocolate. The true s'more made its official debut in 1927 in the Girl Scouts guidebook. The recipe was credited to troop leader Loretta Scott Crew. In their book, it was called Some More, not s'more. It kept that name until 1971 when it was finally shortened to s'more. And that's how we got the s'more, and it's pronounced s'more.
So it
Not
is from the Girl
somewhere.
Scouts. Although it's weird because the Girl Scouts s'more cookie doesn't have marshmallow. It's the coconut one, right?
Isn't that called a
Samoa?
Samoa, that's what it was. It's
That's
not
what it
sandy.
is. So I always connect those two, but it's technically they don't have a s'more cookie though. That's like the closest in name, but
That's kind of shocking.
right?
Yeah, I'm looking at these Girl Scout cookies and like, man, I have not seen these. Must be new. I remember in my day it was like what samosas, Tagalogs, and Thin Mints. Did all these other ones exist?
Right? They added a lot.
Dude, Adventurefuls, brownie inspired cookies topped with caramel flavored cream and sea salt. Like, fuck, that sounds real good.
So they do have s'mores, but I don't think the s'mores existed when I was a kid.
Explore Mores, yeah.
S'more.
Yeah, I don't like lemonades, lemon ups. I haven't heard any of these. Well, Sheldon leaves to go make his s'mores, and Penny feels bad for him, and Leonard reluctantly goes back to see Sheldon. Now we cut back over to the apartment, and Sheldon is making his s'mores with a Bunsen burner, which is fine because he's a scientist, and he knows what he's doing. And then he instantly burns his marshmallow, which is really hard not to do, I will say.
It's really hard.
It's really hard to not do. And then he submerges it in water, and then he's like, oh, it took me a gallon of urine to make that water. And I did a small IQ point on this one.
I did too. Mine was more on how reverse osmosis works, but I think with our information combined, we can probably make a solid IQ point.
Cool. You want to start us off?
Sure. So I don't know why I was thinking of reverse osmosis as similar to distilled water, and distilled is basically like when it's evaporated and recollected, leaving behind all the contaminants, which is really good for like appliances because you don't get calcium buildup if you're using distilled water. I've heard that it's bad for you because humans need some of those nutrients like for calcium and stuff to help build our bones. If you only drink distilled water, apparently it can be bad or have problems in the long run. Not like, a little bit here and there is not a big deal, but if that's all you drink, apparently it can. But reverse osmosis, my understanding is it's a type of filtration. And so we start off with the notion of osmosis, which I've always thought of it as basically absorbing into a liquid or dissolving into a liquid. That's how I understand osmosis. And yeah, this is a means to absorb or pass through a membrane. The level of water into water to be less concentrated or to be more concentrated, to have an equilibrium of concentrations on both sides, flowing between a membrane or a surface. Reverse osmosis would be the opposite, where you push back through the membrane to reduce the concentration. And so basically they have a membrane filter, semi-permeable, and they use pressure to push water through it. So on one side, you have a denser, higher concentrated amount of water with contaminants. On the other side, you have a lower concentration of contaminants. And the thing about this is that it does, to get the water through, you do end up with more contaminated water on the one side and some uncontaminated water on the other side, lower concentration of salts or whatever it is. And what else I find? That it takes about 3 to 25 gallons of water to get 1 gallon of purified water. And so what I'm seeing on his end, that probably did take a gallon of water of pee to get that little amount of water, because it takes quite a bit. And this is from premailsales.com. A lot of information about this I got from just like sales places. H2Odistributors.com gave me some of this information too. Basically trying to sell reverse osmosis RO sets. What else I find? That, yeah, in the setups, the water that gets contaminated, that's pushing through the uncontaminated stuff, basically gets discharged down a drain automatically, and you're left with the good stuff where it like stocks up in a, not a cauldron, but a what's the word? I want to say blimp. That's not right. A canteen or a storage unit of some sort, a bladder. That's what I was thinking of, bladder, to hold the liquid for consumption purposes. And I also learned that these typically last about 2 to 5 years. The membranes then have to be replaced depending on what you're using. There are different types of membranes with different efficiencies and different longevities, so you have to be careful of that. And also, technically, there's usually a carbon filter on the before and after these membranes as well. So you're filtering based on a carbon filter before it goes through the membrane, and then again on the other side to reduce contaminants and chemicals as well. I honestly could not find scientific, and I'm sure it's out there, scientific information about what the difference is between a carbon filter or just a thin mesh filter in these membranes. But is this notion that it's like a really, really, really fine semi-permeable membrane that is filtering out the contaminants and allowing osmosis to pull cleaner water out because it's being pressurized through the system. So that's how I understood it. What'd you come up with?
Well, I actually did. What stemmed me from this, which you kind of answered, was I was wondering if it really was a gallon of urine to make that amount of water. And then it got me wondering, it's like, it's only been like 20 minutes since the blackout happened. How did you urinate a gallon?
That's a good. Did he just have urine stockpiled for this, or?
And why are you starting out with this? It's like, you must have some bottles of water or something in the fridge, but it's all for the joke, so we will suspend belief.
Also, just because the power goes out doesn't mean the water goes out, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So it's like two things: water stays on, gas stays on, and telephones, if you have a landline, often stay on because they're on a different line. So yeah.
Well, I wanted to look more into this unit that he got, and yeah, I'm not quite sure if I was looking at the right things or anything like that, but from my understanding and from my research, especially in 2012, because apparently it's not even available now in terms of retail ready. Mm-hmm. So back in 2012, it's definitely not available. So how he got a unit that I could actually like filter your urine into drinking water is kind of like beyond belief. Because at this point, NASA, which we mentioned, has some high-powered, expensive devices that can do this for astronauts, but there was literally nothing available retail Like he couldn't go to Dick's Sporting Goods and pick this up. Because even like right now, I was looking around like right now, like because I wanted to see how much it would cost if I could buy one. But there are water purifying systems that can be purchased on Amazon and sports stores, but they're meant for lakes, rivers, and pond water, and they're just for purifying. It's like you were saying, like they're just ultra purifiers. And even in the directions, they even say it's not meant for urine, so don't even try it.
Oh.
However, there are sites that show you how to make alterations to those machines to make them even stronger, thus allowing you to use them for urine. But these machines are hundreds of dollars and can get up to the thousands. But I did see like just I don't know if these work, but I in my research I found that there are tablets on Amazon for $35 for 100 tablets, and they're water purifiers. So you could actually grab lake water or whatever, throw the tablet in, and it purifies it. I have no idea how they work or if they work.
Campton tablets, my understanding, I'm guessing that's what they're called. They're the same tablets you use to get chlorine out of water before you brew. Or at least there's also iodine tablets as well, so there's different ones. But I know the Campton tablets are used for winemaking because you don't boil wine juice or grape juice before making wine, and so to disinfect it, oftentimes they throw in the Campton tablets to kill off all the bacteria so that they can make wine. But yeah,
cool.
every time I brew,
heard of stuff like that. Yeah,
I use those. I'm like, what else are these used for? And like, you don't want to eat a whole packet of them, but like in small amounts, like they are fine. And yeah,
nice. So with our powers combined, that's a full IQ point.
It's a full IQ point. I remember in when I did the hike in Hawaii, the Carlisle Trail, I think we had iodine tablets, but I can't remember if we did Campton or but some people are like, oh, boil your water, but like having to boil your water every time you stop, and some people are like, I just drink the water out of the stream. It's like, don't do that. So we had tablets where like we filled up our bottles and like put the tablet in and like shook it up, and after like 20 minutes we would drink it. And well, we didn't get sick, but it's still a weird feeling to know you just put a tablet in and like sterilize everything, right?
Oh. What if I got a bad batch?
Right? And then you're I imagine it doesn't change the taste. So like if you had salt water or saline water urine, like I imagine that would still taste like urine, but it would have killed everything in it. That's my understanding. Yeah. But
all in the name of survivability.
Yeah. I'm curious if it would work with viruses, like if it was tainted with a virus or something, if it would kill that, or if that would still be. Yeah, this science is above me.
Oh no,
terrifies me.
That's why I always try to keep an extra case of water in the utility closet just in case.
Just in case. Drill.
You never know.
Emergency.
Oh, this reminds me of another story about like this is how not serious Christina is with emergency stuff and everything. I bought these canned foods specifically for emergency. You know, it's like, well, it's not something that we eat on a regular basis, so we might as well just like store it just in case.
Yeah,
you know, because you never know. Because I'd hate for like a power outage to happen multiple days because we are in an area where we get huge storms, and I've heard that like people have lost power for like up to a week. So it's in the realm of possibility here. So I had these canned foods when we first moved here, and I told Christina about it, and she's like, okay, cool. Within a week, I went in the pantry and I was like, why is there only one can left? She's like, oh, I ate it. I was like, baby, that was our emergency. It's like, we'll just restock. It's all good. We're not going to get in that situation. It's fine. I was like,
what if it isn't?
Yeah, she's the worst person to have in an emergency.
That's why I have a bunch of those camp meals that last for like 20 years or something, freeze dried, and I had them in my pantry, but every now and then I'm like, oh, that sounds good. And I'd rip it open, and they're not cheap, and they're like full of sodium, but Like I had them for camping and for emergencies. And like I'm like, okay, I put them in a bin and put them in my garage with my camping stuff. I'm like, I'm not going to get them down and eat them if they're up there. It's emergency only.
Ay. All right. Anything else on that IQ point?
I think that's all I got.
All right. Well, Leonard talks to Sheldon and he suggests, let's just go back to the way that things were. But Sheldon, all I ask is that you show a little appreciation. And Sheldon's not into that. He's like, what, you want me to thank you every time?
Every time?
So then Sheldon's counter proposal, he says a full reinstatement of the rooming agreement, but they add an addendum. Like Mother's Day and Father's Day, they will create a Leonard's Day. And Leonard is receptive to the idea, but no breakfast in bed, no sitting in his spot, and no control over the thermostat. But he gets a card. And he takes it. That's how, like, Leonard, you have no self-respect.
I am so disappointed. It seems like in a year they could have done a great episode with this or turned it into like a annual holiday episode. There was no reason to let this drop.
Honestly, that would actually been amazing. Like Sheldon finally having to like honor Leonard and like be nice to him and do things for him and stuff like that.
Figure out how to say thank you in a day. Like, yeah.
And then it'll reverse back like after a few of them where Sheldon tries to like make addendums and everything to reverse it back.
Mm-hmm.
That would
like I can't do this. I'll reverse it back. Yeah, that was that's sad.
Well, Penny comes in with news. The building manager said the power went out because someone went down and pulled the breaker. And it really got me wondering about like how he could have really done this. Like the logistics of him running down to like pull the breaker. Because the moment the power went out, Sheldon was there. He would have had to like jog up 4 flights of stairs.
Pull the breaker, emergency exit or something.
Upstairs, not breaking a sweat, not being in a pant and everything like that. Because as soon as it happened, he was like right there. So I question the logistics.
Well, didn't Penny come in first? I mean, not to say there was enough time, but technically Penny and Leonard were talking a little bit, and then Sheldon came in. But still, he's not in shape to run up 4 flights of stairs without breaking a sweat that fast. Yeah.
We established that he is not in shape.
He's not. I mean, I'm not either. I couldn't do it. Yeah. So
someone in shape couldn't do that without breaking a sweat at least.
Yeah.
Well, Sheldon brushes this information under a rug and says that they should all thank that person. Because of that person, there's a Leonard's Day. And Penny's like, Leonard's Day? What's that? And Sheldon's like, oh, it's no pressure. Just get him a crummy card. You're good. So, yeah, he don't give a shit.
It's already gone. You know, I'm thinking of something like How I Met Your Mother, where they turn Thanksgiving into Slapsgiving. And it becomes an annual thing. Yeah.
Well, now we're at the ending, and we're in Howard's room. The trap is set for Howard to get Rocket Man as his nickname. And we get a little bit of foreshadowing from Howard's mom as she yells up to him about his breakfast. And then Dr. Massimino calls him. But let's just call him Mass. And this is where we get guest star Michael Massimino, whom is a real astronaut. Former NASA astronaut, is now a professor of mechanical engineering at Columbia University and the senior advisor for space programs at the Intrepid Sea, Air and Space Museum. So, pretty big guy in the space world. And then Howard says, oh, mass, that's a cool nickname, because force equals mass times acceleration. And then he's like, no, it's just short for Massimino. And it is kind of funny because as we heard the names of the other fake people, and from from the nicknames that I actually was able to find, that's pretty much all they do. And that's kind of, and like I said, that's just really sad. Just shortening their last name.
There can be so much more creativity.
And then Rocket Man starts. The plan is working. Mass knows what the song is, and then he's like, okay, all right. And then we hear Mrs. Wallowitz yell up at him that his Fruit Loops are getting soggy. And now he's Fruit Loops.
No problem, Fruit Loops.
Yep. And that's the end of the episode. Yeah. Now we're on to the vanity card, the old censored vanity card. Chuck Lorre Productions number 375. I've known that due to the FCC's equal time rules, I cannot use this space to espouse my political views. To do so would set in motion a legal action which demands that a contrary opinion be flashed on the screen for a split second at the end of a sitcom. I'm guessing, with that in mind, I worked hard to write what I thought was a very balanced, centrist vanity card. A simple, rational essay that no one could disagree with. CBS disagreed. And then it's censored. And then you sent me the image that was censored. It's a political thing. It's a round circle with a yellow background with the Republican symbol of the elephant in the center, and it says vote Republican and be free to live your disgusting life. So we could definitely say he is not a Republican.
I don't think he is. I think it's funny too. You can't see us. We're not recording, but since it looks like a little button, the text is in a circle around the image. And you should see us, me and Rob, like trying to read it and turning our heads upside down.
I should have premised that there is words going in a circle, and I have to read upside down and backwards.
And both of us are both going at the same time, upside down.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the episode. All right, let's count some IQ points.
I only went up 1 point on Sheldon's side, which puts me at 142 to 146, being like Sheldon. This was a Sheldon heavy episode, so it makes sense that I found something to resonate with him as opposed to other people. And honestly, I don't think I would be like Leonard. I don't think I'm as much as a pushover as Leonard, who's like basically just taking it, like you say, at the end, he's going back to the roommate agreement without even any changes, and we don't even get the Leonard's Day, so it's a complete washout. Like, yeah, not like that. Although I did like that we saw, as much as Amy wants a relationship and as bold as Sheldon can be, she stands up against him. She's like, no, I can't do that. I have monkeys to train, or monkeys to give adoles to. So I like her personality, that she's not a pushover and it's like, okay, I'll drive you.
Yeah, she's thirsty, but she's not that thirsty.
Yeah.
And we got 4 IQ points.
Nice.
Yeah. We food casted it up, talked batteries, and poop.
And poop.
Lots of poop talk.
And poop.
All right, anything else to add?
I think that's all I have for the episode.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening. Email us at theoreticalnonsensepod@gmail.com. Give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Like and subscribe on YouTube. We will see you next time when we discuss Season 5, Episode 16, The Vacation Solution. See you then. This was Theoretical Nonsense, the Big Bang Theory watch-along podcast. No PhD required. Our intro and outro music is by Alex Grohl. Thanks for listening. Take it, bitch.
Take it. Moan.